Hi, Tanya.
Hello,
Wel-
Marta.
Welcome. I'm really excited, probably both excited and a little nervous because this is something that I've been dreaming of for a while, a very first episode of Nest Conversations. Uh, I guess it's something that's in my mind and my vision is deeply rooted in meaningful connection and creativity as well as intentional living. And I couldn't think of a better person to start this conversation with than with you. So welcome, Tanya. Just a short, brief introduction. Tanya, apart from being my dear friend, is a natural dyer and an educator. And we've had plenty of conversations in the past. And I reflected only recently, remember when we met, and it sort of brought us to let's see if we can share those conversations with the others because I have it's not just a feeling, but I always feel deeply inspired and somehow grounded and awakened by beauty each time we connect. So I'm really, really grateful that you managed to
Mm,
find some time to have this conversation today.
Thank you so much, Marta. It's exciting, to connect with you
Me
because,
too.
yes, we do have these lovely conversations that we have when we meet, and it's great. Thank you for inviting me.
Always pleasure. So you know me really well, Tanya, and I know that I know myself. I can drift from one place to another, so I purposely noted a few things just to stay focused. But let's see how
Mhm.
it flows. Yes. Um, I was thinking actually of starting from something that I believe is close to both our hearts, which is the connection. Um, if you can share, Tanya, from your personal experience, what role do human relationships play in your creative journey and your creative work?
Mhm. Well, obviously, we've been connecting and getting to know each other for a while, and it's interesting that you would think the connection via Instagram sometimes doesn't go a long way, but we actually met on Instagram, if you think about
Sure.
it,
Yeah.
not that long ago, but it feels like much longer ago. I think connections and links between people, processes, creativity is everything, in life. And yeah, just sometimes I even think like the strength of the connection actually, contributes so much to well-being of a person or mental well-being as well. And I definitely felt it like during COVID times and after COVID, trying to find my way to other creatives. So I'm so glad I found you.
No, that's really, really.
We've connected, and yeah, it's just you never stop exploring this links between us, from heart to heart, from just through different fields and areas of life and our experiences.
Yes, that's really beautifully put. And I can so much relate. And perhaps just to add, for me, it's something that I mentioned in the beginning when I was introducing you, because for me, I believe it's a great source of inspiration, learning about each other's words. And especially if someone really is keen to open that word in front of you and let you in, it always feels like a gift to me. Um, and I'm really, really grateful that we've connected. It sounds really reminded me actually that it was Instagram, and
Yes.
it may sometimes feel like a maybe a place, not necessarily a place to go to connect in a
Mhm.
genuine way. But I guess it's just if you want to find your way, you do. And I think we both felt that urge to connect, and we were lucky enough to also live close enough to be able
Mhm.
to have that face-to-face conversation.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to you that you contacted me. I can be sometimes admiring, somebody's either process, a work, or photos, because your photos are so beautiful, and just admiring a person and the way they walk in this life. And sometimes you feel like, oh, well, how do I find a way? How do I connect? But sometimes it's just writing and saying hello, and that's what you did. And, we went from there and it
Yeah,
started. Yes.
that's true. That's true. Thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
Um, I know that I'm not the only one who would love to learn more about your creative process and the intention. I know because I've experienced it firsthand. But could you share more about it from the gathering to dyeing and the final pieces? Mhm.
Yes. So, yes, I'm a natural dyer. I collect material in local areas, like just in the meadow, in the park, basically wherever I go, I
Mhm.
collect it. And then I create natural dyes from it. So I guess if I think about it, it goes back to I never planned on being a natural dye, let's just say.
Mhm.
And that's not what I've always done. This having moved to England 14 years ago, I was just curious about what's growing here, what's around, and how you could, you know, just get to know what's around. Because being from Ukraine, I'm used to a lot of fruit and vegetables and this abundance in the summer. And this is what I missed being in England at the beginning, just familiar surroundings and ways to connect to nature. So yeah, I just started without the goal of being a natural dye. I started, just naturally, curiously picking up things, some kind of like children do, when they go for a walk, they come back with a pocket full of leaves.
I do that
Or
too.
sometimes stones or bugs or whatnot. So just collecting, bringing stuff home, and simmering and seeing how some stuff releases color.
Mhm.
That's what drew me to natural dyeing, how organic and natural it is. I've never ever uh, just intellectually, figured out the path to it. The whole process led me towards it by itself.
Mhm.
Drew me in, I would say. So, parallel to natural dyeing, it's this love of color that I've always had. Basically, even being at school, sometimes at school we are, not necessarily encouraged to experiment, to mix colors and just play around. But I've always been drawn to different pigments, different colors, and how colors talk to each other, I would say.
Mhm. Mhm.
So how they mix and what happens with the color. So just connecting these two basically was a miracle indeed. And drawing the color from nature itself is the best thing, I would say.
That's really lovely. I love what you shared about being playful and exploring, yes, that childlike way
Mm.
of seeing the world, because this is something that we often lose when we grow up.
Mm.
And I could see that in you. I think I can see that in myself often, yes, when you mention about collecting things, I think I do that all the time. But this is what actually brings that intention to your work. I know because I've seen it. So on one hand, there is this aspect of free flow and let's see what today will bring. So that presence in the moment rather than setting some expectations. But then I know that you bring a lot of intention when you create. Do you
Mhm.
have, I don't know, any, I don't want to call them rituals, but maybe they are rituals, and maybe just those moments of care that you bring into your work?
Mhm. That's a great question. Because, yeah, it all starts with small things, of our daily life. And like noticing that something's interesting for you, or so you're drawn a certain way, is very important, I would say. I haven't always been like this. And in general, my upbringing in Ukrainian school and just being part of
Mhm.
that was very perfectionistic. So I always resented it, because unless you did it perfectly, you wouldn't necessarily be in creative fields. But how do you get to be a creative without trying, experimenting, and without playing with things? So, I had to not only find my way, through a new country, a new setting, a surrounding, but find my way, how do I listen to myself? How do I, get it out? And it, again, I want to emphasize being intentional in the process is a very tricky thing, because it's not, never ever been like a set goal. I'm going to be, doing this more. It's not about doing for me. It's about just breathing out and trying and noticing what feels natural. So at the beginning, maybe it was walks,
Mhm.
and discovering things, new areas, driving to nature reserve, or even in Oxford, going to some smaller streets, and just getting kind of lost, and finding things to find inspiration from, whether it's a gallery or just a park or somewhere. But I don't know. I can name a lot of things right now, like I don't know, maybe journaling, maybe friends, maybe just sitting in nature, maybe moments of quiet. But it will be very individual for each person what they choose out of all this. And it's never like something where we could say one thing did it for me, you
Mhm.
know.
There
We
is no
just,
magic recipe.
no,
Never.
absolutely. Sometimes I get annoyed when I listen to, people in interviews, and people give a very vague answer, but here I am,
Mhm.
with, just saying that, it's a combination of things, how you relax into it, how you accept yourself in the process, how you see the process, how you let the process, captivate you and lead you, and yeah. So
Mhm.
it's very, very organic on the one hand, and on the other hand, a deep commitment to the process, and the desire to see it unfolding will lead you, one way or the other, I would say.
This is so beautifully put. Thank you, Tanya. When I was listening to you, maybe two things sort of stood up. One, um, that I was reflecting myself, that you learn that patience through the process, yes, rather than rushing and expecting those results, because we live in that sort of world that is driven by results, yes, the
Mhm.
deadlines, and it's difficult to unlearn those things and suddenly just let go and um, simply be, yes, in the moment, and see how it evolves.
Mhm.
I know you, and I see that myself, that there is a lot of that patience in you, um, and the intention to slow down, to observe and see what happens. Is the same when you work with colors, that it's for me
Mhm.
a magical process, yes, but depending on the time that you put in your mixture, will give you a different result. But it doesn't mean that result one or two will be better than three and four. Yes, it's just different. So I
Mhm.
think that's also a very important lesson. Yes, for us to
Mhm. So
actually.
it's this quiet voice basically inside of, so to say it's okay, it's an experiment. I'm just trying it out. If it doesn't work, I'll do it differently. Without giving yourself some names, some titles, and feeling the pressure from it.
Oh yes, very important.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to learn. I don't know if I've ever asked you that. I mean, apart from you exploring, being outside with nature, um, what is it that, or maybe where do you go, both physically and sometimes internally, because we do that too, to seek that inspiration?
Mm-hmm. Where do I go? Let's see.
Mm,
We each live in a certain, area, and even I'm trying to think, if I do have a set way of going about it. I don't. I don't really.
mm,
I do live ne next to the park, and I really, really appreciate it. Having moved not long ago, being near the big park, it just really calms me down. Being, under the trees, walking in the shade, noticing the wind, for example, a little breeze, or sitting on a bench sometimes. But I remember the times where I was in nature, wherever, whether I would, intentionally find the park and not being relaxed there. I do remember those kinds of times, being anxious, seeing too many people around and stuff like this. I think it's naturally kind of evolved that I noticed that it's important for me,
mm,
because it might not be important for you, but or for somebody, but it's finding your own surrounding where you feel
mhm.
you can breathe out. Okay, so it can be in your own garden, you're sitting and collecting or growing something, or you can be in some kind of a wilder area, or you live maybe in the countryside. It's this childhood, walk. I remember my grandmother's summer cottage, and so like I'm a little girl walking down the path and being lost in this kind of. We had all kinds of things growing, like corn and tomatoes and peaches and cherries, and just going somewhere and getting lost. It's that kind of feeling. So. Yeah, I'm naturally drawn to parks and open areas and meadows. I love English summer and the meadow, being out with the dog somewhere in the meadow. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. But it is really your own setting that you appreciate being in. That's what matters, I would say.
Yes, I love it. I really do. It it's just a proof that very little is often needed. Yes, you don't have to travel to
Mm,
out of the world to seek that inspiration. Uh,
hmm.
it can
Yeah,
be, yes,
and more than that, even, just the whole practice, I would say, I never built it like thinking, oh, I'm just gonna pick up what falls under my feet, but it is how sometimes I feel.
mhm,
Even with you the other day when we were walked, and we were near some area, we saw, petals, and we
yes,
styled photo with the petals. It's just like noticing what nature gives us so freely. And I find a relief and inspiration in this, that I don't have to strive. I don't have to work something out. It's already there. The petals are falling, seasons are changing, weather is different every day. So it's not resenting it or fighting it. Maybe it's engaging with it and noticing it more.
yes. Yes, I can very much relate. And I think there is a lot that I'm learning from you each time we
Yeah,
meet.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning. Not all the days, I feel like this. Like I said, the weather is different and the mood is different. And you do have pressures, and sometimes you rush, and sometimes you do have to, exhibit or be in the event, or, so there is natural pressure that comes from activity. But nature is there for us
Yes,
if we want to lean on it.
that's
Mm.
mhm. I was thinking now when you were sharing the story, that on one hand, when I watch you creating there is this almost like, you allow yourself to play and explore rather than seek that perfection, as you put it. But at the same time, because I've seen your books, which I really love, like your notebooks, where you add various notes, almost like you make those recipes, how I created this particular color or the tone. So there is this intention, but there is also a long process behind it, yes, of exploration and learning on the go. Can you share more about this? Because those books, they are, for me personally, they are magical place and a piece of art on its own.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think in any art or craft, there would be this natural element of the process, but also the element that you want to remember to some degree and preserve your good experiments that you've done. So at the beginning, I would just mix a color, dye something, try something. And then after a while, I would be like, what did I actually do, here? And the material would be different, the shades would be different, the color would be different. So I started thinking, I need to record it more. And at the beginning, it was just notes in the phone, just recording, what material I used and how long I simmered it, with a photo of it. And later, it became more like a diary where I put a little swatch as well and where I record, the process. I'm not always good at recording everything
Mhm.
that I've tried, but I try to, I don't know, see the value of these experiments and kind of, see it as a body of work and preserve it more these days, I would say, than at the beginning. So there's definitely in each creative, endeavor or a process, there is the process itself, but also how we remember it or how we talk about it, as well. So more like how do you describe what you've done, or how do you, what have you, what is actually, important. So I do notice what you're referring to,
Mhm.
that the best experiments are actually sometimes it's so spontaneous, but the note is there, like I simmered it for 7 minutes. Okay. And sometimes, my family, makes a comment about it to 3 minutes, 7 minutes. But, it is like, if you think about it, when you're, uh, either making a dough, you don't want to overwork it, and you've had a few, just nice baking, for example, experiments, and you put in and you took it out 2 minutes and before, and it's just perfect. So you just for myself, for example, I want to, remember these important things, how things turned out this particular time. But it's not a guarantee, of course, that the next time it'll be exactly like that.
Mhm. I love it. For me, because I think, and I know, and you probably know that too, that I'm a very intuitive person. So that intuition is what leads. I'm not that driven by certain recipes for something. I would rather explore and then learn. But I love that, and I started slowly implementing what you've been doing for a while now, um, because I think it's on one hand it's like allowing yourself to again pause and notice the process itself.
Mhm.
There is a lot of beauty in that process. Yes, the whole journey that you're going through, not just that end result. Yes, people will see a final image, and every image has a
Yeah.
start. People will see a beautifully dyed ribbon, but
Mm-hmm.
you're really, really interested in learning how it happened. Yes, from the first moment when you went out and started collecting those.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And if you think about, for example, the work of a photographer, yes, you were in the moment, you took that image, and it was a series of image, but over the period of time, you had a few collections.
Mm,
You went, for example, through the same seasons, and you had, something at the seaside in the summer and something in spring under the trees. And so in a way, you're building already on something. You're not just creating it in the vacuum later on. You already had lovely sessions with makers or collections of things. And yeah, it's just grouping them, organizing them, or sorting them. And there is a certain, again, piece and, element of reassurance that comes through it. Because when you organize things a little bit, you do see, oh wow, I've done, this color before, or this was sometimes I look and the date says, for example, April 2019. And wow, it's been 6 years and I've tried it 6 years ago, but I still like it. I like the shade, for example, and it's amazing. I need to go to that tree and see it again. Sometimes, just actual recording of something or a photo can prompt you to go to the same place or can prompt you, to try something, having built on that experience.
yes,
Mhm.
I love it. Mm, I was wondering if you could share, for those who might want to watch and listen, any little guidance on perhaps where to start, how to start. If I want to work with my hands and do it more intentionally, and I'm interested in that particular aspect of your work, where where would I start?
Mhm. Hmm. This is a bit difficult, not knowing, not knowing what a person likes. I would be, I can only give just uh, general prompts maybe or guidance or, yeah, I would start noticing what you like. That's all. I would go from there because it doesn't have to be a big medium necessarily. It's small micro steps that we build upon. Maybe go to a workshop of a person you like, another creative. Maybe be just immerse yourself and be well, let's say you like a museum, just go to the gallery and explore something there, or just start what you like and what feels that is causes your curiosity and causes you to um, want to look into something. So I would start there. Hmm.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I could sit with this conversation forever, Tanya. You know that. But I want to say thank you to you for sharing this beautiful word and for creating those things. And I do hope that someone might find inspiration in those conversations. And yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait to see you again.
Yeah. Yes, I look forward to so many other creative adventures with you, Marta, and that's what inspires me, like collaboration with other people and being in connection. That's wonderful. And yeah, I look forward to it.
Thanks a
Thanks
lot.
for having me. Okay.